On today's episode, we're talking about the one thing you can do this week to make your holidays aphasia inclusive, joyful, and stress free for everyone, including those with aphasia. It's simple, it's actionable, and it's something we can start doing today. By the end of this episode, you'll know how to recruit an ally, practice self advocacy strategies, and plan a holiday that truly brings everyone together. Plus, I'll share details on how you can grab the book Aphasia Inclusive Celebrations, the digital version, so you can get it on your computer today. This book is packed with even more tips to transform your holiday.
Welcome to the Listen for Life podcast with Genevieve Richardson. Genevieve is a speech-language pathologist rehabilitating adults with communication challenges after a stroke or due to a neurological impairment. Get equipped with knowledge from experts in the field and professionals you need to know. We'll hear stories and experiences from others who are navigating life with aphasia. So, put your earphones in and take a walk outside. This isn't just a podcast. This is a community, a resource, and a support system. We're in this together. Do life.
Welcome to the show. So this is going to be my last show with my Santa hat. You might see, you can't see them all, but I've got a nice collection of Santa hats. So I picked this one to wear today. And then I'm wearing my naughty sweatshirt because I was really bad. I did not take care of myself. And I don't know if you can hear it, but my voice, woo-wee, I almost had no voice last night. So I've been procrastinating and trying to be quiet today to see if my voice would come back somewhat. So this is as good as we're going to get today, but it's not going to stop me from sharing with you what is the one thing you can do. 6 days from Christmas, 6 days until the beginning of Hanukkah, that you can do to make your holiday aphasia inclusive. Because what we do know is that the holidays are supposed to be about joy and connection. But when you have aphasia, it adds an extra layer of complexity. Take Mark and Sally, a couple that I work with. We've had lots of conversations about how can Sally take some of the burden off of her and support Mark when they travel for the holidays this year. They're going to be with like 15, 16, 17 people. She doesn't actually know what the final number is. But here's the thing. Sally and Mark both came to realize that they need to make a plan. They can't just show up and wing it and hope that it's all going to work out like they want. They actually have to make a plan, be proactive so that they don't burn out, so they don't wear themselves out on that day. So here's the key. Waiting for others to adjust on their own often leads to frustration, right? If you go into a situation with expectations and people don't rise to meet your expectations, disappointment, frustration. So, what would I ask you to do? What advice would I give you after working with folks for so many years who have aphasia, and what strategies work? One step you can take right now is you've got to recruit and equip an aphasia ally. Call it what you will. But Sally doesn't want to be the only one responsible to help Mark if he gets tired, if his words don't work, if he can't communicate what it is he wants to communicate. So, one of the most impactful steps you can do is recruit an ally, someone who is another warm body in the situation that understands Mark's aphasia and can help facilitate communication strategies. So, how do we do this? First, we need to identify the right people. For Sally, it was her reaching out to Mark's brother, her brother in law, because he and Mark are very close. And what she did was they talked on the phone and discussed what are the top 2, 3 strategies that the brother can do to help Mark? What should he be watching for? And all of this is about giving support. We don't want Mark to feel like he has to do this all on his own. So, what Sally did was talking to the brother. She focused on simple strategies like speaking slower and clearly, of course, right? We all want clear speech, pausing, using shorter sentences. And when the conversations are really important, moving to a place in the house where there's less background noise and activity. So let's say you have a person with aphasia and you're feeling very uncomfortable. You don't feel like you know what to say to call, to make that phone call to get yourself an ally at this holiday gathering. So let's go through a sample script. Take bits and pieces of it, make it your own. But the point is, if you've thought through what you would say, then you're going to be far better prepared. So, hi, Bob. I'd love your help making this year's Christmas get together. Since we have so many people, I would love your help helping Mark get his words out. So he does much better in conversations where people speak just a smidge slower and they pause just to allow Mark a little extra time to process. When you're with him in these conversations, would you mind just being standing nearby as a support? And if Mark doesn't ask people to slow down, would you mind stepping in? And I'm sharing these things with you because Mark and I talked about it, and he would very much love to have your support in this. He's going to try and do everything he can himself to advocate for what he needs from others. But if I can't be in the room, maybe you can be. How does this sound, Bob? So, audience, what do you think? How does this sound? Does this script sound like something you could execute? Well, what if you're not comfortable say making that phone call and asking for it? Well, you could always send an email, right? Send an email ahead of time and ask them if they have any questions or if they are willing to talk about it some more. Another step that Sally and Mark had to take was to empower self advocacy. Because what we know is inclusion isn't just about what others do, it's about empowering the person with aphasia to take an active role. So, other clients that I work with, Doris and Gary, earlier this week, Doris was so excited to share the strategies she had already put into place. They're traveling about 8 hours away. And what Doris did was make a phone call to set up two different allies there at the where they're going for the holidays. So she set them up for success by communicating these aphasia strategies ahead of time to the family members. She asked questions and she took it a step further. She actually practiced with her sister how to implement speaking just a bit slower and pausing. See what I did right there? I didn't slow way down. I never, ever, ever talk down to anyone. But you can slow down just a smidge by over enunciating your words. Just move your mouth a little bit extra, and that automatically causes you to slow down just a bit. And then after you say something, pause. If you ask a question, just ask one question and then pause and wait for a response. The other thing that Doris did for her and Gary's trip this year is they are breaking that 8-hour trip over 2 days. They're not trying to push through and get it all done in one day. They're going to drive part way, stay in a hotel, and when they get there, they're also staying in a hotel in the area where the holiday gathering is happening. And that just gives them extra time, a way to get away from the noise, a place to recharge where they aren't under anybody else's feet. They can have that quiet time to recharge. The other really cool thing that Doris did is she's bringing games, because what Gary knows how to do now is play a variety of games where they've made adjustments to make them aphasia friendly. He likes to pair up with one of his granddaughters, and boy, let me tell you how much she loves helping her Gigi play the game. When he can't say the words, she can. If he can roll the dice, she waits for him to do that. And so they work as a partner. So let's go back to Mark and Sally. What they are doing now, as they are preparing to leave for their trip, they are taking some time to practice Mark's self advocacy strategies. Mark has worked on gestures like signaling slow down, just holding up your hand like a stop sign, or saying, I heard you, but I didn't understand. Can you say it again? Or he could say it again slower. So, what Mark and Sally have been practicing is she practices talking super fast to him, maybe from another room. And Mark comes into the room and says, I heard you, but I didn't understand. Say it again. Or if the TV's on, Mark has practiced going and putting the TV on pause so that he's not internally or externally distracted by environmental noise. And when Mark wants to join a conversation and he's feeling like he can't keep up, he has practiced with Sally saying, I need you to slow down a bit. So small adjustments just like these have empowered Mark and Doris and Sally and Gary. They have put into place these simple but yet effective strategies. So let's shift a little bit and talk about activities for connection. Another way to make holidays inclusive is by planning activities that everyone can connect with. Games are a perfect way to do this. And why games can be so much fun is that it takes some pressure off of conversation. The games give that kind of structure. It gives you the ability to talk in words that are related to the game, or gentle camaraderie or competition, right? You knocked me off the board, whatever it is. Games just kind of give that extra context and situation. So what are some games that you can consider? Well, first, every family has a game. You probably have at least a deck of cards, right? You may not have a whole closet full of games, but if you think about it and you know where that closet is, open it up. Take a look at the games that are in there and see which ones could be modified, could be simplified so that your person with aphasia can participate. Some games you should be looking for: Uno. And a fresh take on Uno is Uno Flip. There's Connect Four, which is almost like a tic tac toe. You have to get four in a row, but it's a two-person game and it doesn't take any talking, right? You don't have to read a card or do anything like that. Something like Sorry or Trouble. You roll the dice, you pick up a card, and if you have an aphasia buddy, your buddy can be the one to read the card if it's too hard for the person with aphasia to read it. You have to get creative, but I'm trying to give you ideas, because what if you could just do one thing this holiday to help with the fun, focusing on connection, decreasing stress? Some other ideas that you can follow through with: watching holiday movies. One of my clients absolutely loves, excuse me, his holiday movies. Taking a walk outside if the weather's nice, or playing with a family pet. You heard our team member Autumn last week on the episode talking about how when she needs a break, she goes and sits outside and plays with the family dog or hangs out with the cat or whatever it is. Sometimes just that connection with something else that's living without the pressure of talking can make all the difference. So, for even more ideas and strategies, I want to offer to you my Aphasia Inclusive Celebrations book. It's a digital copy and it's available now. I'm going to put this QR code here in the screen. If you scan that, if you're watching this video, whether it's on Listen for Life, aphasiapodcast.com, or you are checking out the show notes, whether you're on any podcast platform or you're checking this out on YouTube, that QR code gets you to the page on our website where you can get your hands on a digital copy of Aphasia Inclusive Celebrations. The things we talked about today are just the beginning of different things you can do. Do any of them sound too overwhelming? Could you get on the phone today and talk to who this ally is going to be so that you can share those communication strategies and ask that ally to just be another set of eyes to help make sure the person with aphasia is doing okay. And then that takes a lot of pressure off the spouse or the primary care partner, because what my spouses tell me is that they are always worried. They are always concerned that someone else is not going to take the time to listen, to slow down their speech, to repeat things. They might even get hostile. And that puts an awful lot of pressure on the spouse. Can you imagine that? Think about it. Like if you had kids, maybe you have kids. Think about that first day of school, that first day of preschool, that first day of kindergarten. Were you worried about how the other kids were going to treat your child? It's no different when you have a person who has aphasia. You're looking out for them. You want things to go smoothly. You don't want them to suffer. You want them to feel seen, heard, and understood. So get that ally. Just find one and then ask that ally to share the communication strategies, maybe with their spouse or with another person, right? This Sally doesn't have to be the one to inform every person. She can ask her brother in law, Bob, to do it, right? This is about delegating, taking off some pressure. So, playing some games, having that team member, so the person with aphasia has someone that's with them at the moment so that they can play the game, that they can do the parts that they can do. And then their helper is the one that can pick up the rest of the game playing. Because games take pressure off, because again, it's in context with predictable speech and patterns, right? Because what are our holidays supposed to be about? Connection, communication, connection, loving who we are with, enjoying the day, and remembering what's important to us. Connection. I can't say that enough. We went through a sample script today. We gave you some other ideas, but your strategies don't stop there. Aphasia Inclusive Celebrations is your digital guide to helping you make this holiday joyous and wonderful and happy. And I hope that you will have a wonderful holiday next week. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your support. I appreciate the wonderful emails I get from so many of you. I love questions that are asked, because if I can help make your holiday just a little bit easier, I'm here to do it. May all of your holidays be wonderful, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Listen for Life podcast. We hope you feel empowered and supported. Head over to listenforlifepodcast.com to see the show notes with links and information from today's episode. Do you have a topic, a resource to share, or a guest recommendation? Inquiring minds want to know. Let us know in the comments section. Wishing you a fabulous week.